Today marks International Day of the Girl Child. It highlights the rights of girls and the challenges they face. The British Council runs various education programs to empower young girls in sub-Saharan Africa. Let's discuss this with Caroline Grant, who is the Council's Senior Advisor of Education in the region. Caroline, thanks for making time. This is the day meant to empower and amplify the voices of young girls around the world. What's your assessment of the state of young girls currently in our country, on sub-Saharan Africa?
Thank you so much for having me, Clement. I've just had the pleasure of coming off a webinar organised by the Mail and Guardian with the UN and the Canadian government and other partners. So as Senior Advisor for Education for Sub-Saharan Africa, what we are seeing is that although there have been increases in girls' enrollment in education, learning outcomes still remain pretty dismal, particularly for girls in rural areas. And those girls in areas like northern Nigeria, where there's a very high rate of early marriage for girls, which means that they can't actually go on and gain basic literacy and numeracy skills. So I would say that with the COVID pandemic, we've also seen further challenges where girls have been subject to abuse at home and whose education has actually been further marginalized, where families have found that they have had to make choices about whether to educate their boy or their girl children. And in many cases, it's the girl children who are sacrificed.
Yeah. How do we amplify their voices and empower them, and perhaps even using education as a tool, given that what we're observing now is that, as you say, the learning outcomes remain dismal?
I think that teachers and school principals have a key role in helping girls and in making their schools safe spaces for girls to be educated, and for teachers and head teachers to become role models for girls, and to also encourage them to participate in STEM subjects, to help them to gain that confidence so that they will have the same aspirations as boys, and also to play that important link between the school and the community. So I think with strategies like instructional leadership for head teachers, gender-sensitive training for teachers, and also working closely with governments and ministries of education, where we can ensure that the policies around gender equality don't just remain policies gathering dust on shelves, but in fact are operationalized in schools, which and also providing opportunities for girls to realize their potential.
And it's not just going to take government and the teachers, right? Because all of us can be the agents of change. We see what the schools are doing. We see what government is doing, what corporate is doing. Churches can play a role as well, and other institutions. But individually, what is it that we can do to contribute meaningfully?
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, this is something for everybody. I mean, I think the media can play an extremely powerful role in changing attitudes and in actually amplifying the voice of girls and actually showing what the big issues are. I think that parents and caregivers also have a key role in helping their children. And I think that every single one of us actually has to take this subject extremely seriously, because if we don't, we're actually going to leave out 50% of the population. And this is really unacceptable, especially in this day and age.